in India is ideal to live in, and which city perhaps makes your life a bit difficult. The Ease of Living report released by the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs yesterday, in fact, talks about municipals as well and not just cities. So this is a very interesting report which has been thoroughly studied by Moushumi, who, as you know, covers government, covers the ministry for us. Do start sending in your questions for government matters, and in fact, if you live in any of these cities which have fared among the best, you might want to know why they are doing so well on that index. So Moushumi, what is this report? I want to know about the findings, but before that, what is the methodology? What are the indices that are used?
Ruhi, the Housing and Urban Affairs Ministry, so they had developed this Ease of Living index. In 2018, they came up with the framework. The first edition of the Ease of Living index came out in 2018. So where they have assessed 111 cities in two categories: cities which have population of over 1 million and cities which have population of less than 2 million. So there are two categories, and these cities have been evaluated on various parameters. For ease of living, for instance, they have taken into account 49 development indicators, which include quality of life, which includes sustainability. For the first time, it also includes citizens' perception, economic ability of these cities, and citizens' perception about the standard of living in those cities. So all these cities were evaluated. The evaluation was conducted, happened last year. And now that they have come up with the report, also for the first time, Ruhi, they have come up with a municipality performance index.
So besides cities?
Yeah, besides the Ease of Living index, they have also come up with the municipal performance index of cities. Again, 111 cities in two categories: those with population of over 1 million and those with less than 1 million population have been assessed. For the municipal performance index, cities have been evaluated over 4 areas. In terms of finance, in terms of governance, in terms of basic amenities that have been provided. So they have one comprehensive report which tells you the various gaps that exist in the city and cities which have done well and the parameters on which they have done well.
Okay, so now what are the findings? Which city should we shift to?
Going by the report, I think Bengaluru is the best city as far as ease of living is concerned. So, and again, the Bengaluru comes in the cities with population of over 1 million.
Right.
So Bengaluru, followed by we have Ahmedabad, we have Pune, Chennai, Surat, Navi Mumbai, Coimbatore, which are the top performers in the Ease of Living Index category.
Right.
So they're the best cities as far as ease of living is concerned.
This is above 1 million.
Above 1 million. So if when we come to cities with less than 1 million in population, surprisingly, Shimla tops the list. The tourist destination of Shimla tops the list, followed by Bhubaneswar, Silvassa, Kakinada, and Salem. I mean, I'm just listing their top 5 cities.
Right.
Now when we come to the bottom, the cities which have not fared well or which are at the bottom of the list. So for instance, Ruhi, in ease of living, like I said, that cities were assessed on 4 main parameters: quality of life, and then economic viability, sustainability, and citizens' perception. So when we take, for instance, quality of life, Dhanbad fares the worst. It's right at the bottom of the list, and rightly so, because Dhanbad has been infamous for, they have a lot of these coal mining happens there, and it is notorious for its high pollution level. Then you have Guwahati, which is which is in the bottom of the list. You have Bareilly.
That's my birth city.
So basically, small tier 1, tier 2, tier 2, tier 3 cities, they still are, way below, and lot more needs to be done in terms of, improving infrastructure there, improving the urban infrastructure there, and the standard of living, the ease of living.
Okay. So Moushumi, we have many questions already, so let me not hog all your time. Dev Verma, how are the desirable features of a city decided? For example, I live in Manali, which may not have all the things Pune does, but it instead has beautiful greenery, weather and fresh air, which I prefer. So are these indices, is there a case to expand perhaps the indices and parameters?
Because Ruhi, this is the second edition of the Ease of Living Index. So for instance, the first time when the index came out in 2018, only 15 indicators were evaluated. I mean, cities were evaluated for just 15 indicators. Now they have expanded it to 49 development indicators. So maybe the third edition would have far more indicators to assess the quality of life in your cities. So the 49 indicators broadly distributed over the 4 areas: quality of life, where they have taken into account, the level of pollution in the city, the ease with which the citizens can commute, the public transport, the higher education facilities that are available, economic viability, employability of the cities. So all these factors have been taken into account.
Correct. Okay, this is a handle which doesn't have a name. It has a number 041210A. Good afternoon, Moushumi and Ruhi. Why is it that no cities from Kerala were part of the rankings? I have checked and received official confirmation that the state is very much part of India. Of course it is. It's going to polls also.
It's part of India, but it's not in the top 10, the list of top 10 cities. It's not there in the top 10 in the
ease of living,
in the listings.
Okay, Ramesh, what provisions will be made for better water in households? So, Moushumi, water is one of your favorite subjects anyway, we know.
The government in rural areas, but again, this doesn't take into account the rural areas.
Right.
This is urban cities. So in urban cities, the housing ministry already has this Amrut scheme where drinking water infrastructure is being provided in 500 cities. Now Amrut's mission period is over, and they are planning to launch. In fact, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman announced in the budget they are planning to launch Nal Se Jal program in urban areas also to provide drinking water facility to each and every household in urban cities.
Right.
So, I mean, water is the big thrust, not only in rural area, but in urban areas also.
Okay. This is from Rahul. What is your view on Srinagar being one of the cities with the lowest ease of living index?
Srinagar, Ruhi, has found mentioned in the bottom of the list mainly on the parameter of economic ability.
Right.
So, and I mean, economic ability, it's understandable. There are not many businesses, not many investment happening in Srinagar, in J&K in fact. So that's why it has found mention right at the bottom with a score of 3.09, which has taken its overall ranking also down low.
Right.
Also, as far as quality of life is concerned and sustainability, also Srinagar is bottom of the list. But because of its poor score on the economic viability, economic ability,
it has been pulled down.
Yeah, it's been pulled down.
Okay. Just out of curiosity, how does Delhi fare?
Delhi, Ruhi, when you come to the municipal performance index, New Delhi Municipal Corporation, which is again just a minuscule of the entire population of Delhi, lives there. So that's number one. Apart from, I mean, New Delhi Municipal Corporation has a very high municipal. It has topped the list of municipal performance index. As far as the ease of living is concerned, in economic viability parameter, Delhi fares number 2 after Bengaluru.
Okay.
So it has done.
So we are not living in a bad city. Okay, that's fine.
But quality of life, Delhi doesn't find mention in the top 5. Sustainability, Delhi doesn't find mention in the top 5. Citizens' perception, it doesn't find mention in the top 5. Economic viability, because it's the capital of the city, and you have a lot, I mean,
employment opportunities.
Employment opportunity. So it's right there in number 2.
Okay. Ahmed, besides the 15 indicators for the evaluation criteria, do you think happiness or mental health status should have been in the evaluation list? Like Bhutan has a happiness index. So as you mentioned that they might expand it going forward, it's just the second.
They might include that, and it should be part of such kind of when they come up with ease of living index, because that's one of the main one crucial parameter that should be factored in, that how happy people are. I mean, well-being of the city is one thing, ease of living is basically well-being of the citizens of that.
But the citizen perception perhaps does include that to a certain extent. I mean, perception would also be based on how you...
as in when you factor in quality of life, it would take into account that also, but there is no specific mental health indicator as such.
Right. Okay, Akriti Saraswat, what will be done for the cities with lower index? Priya has a similar question. Do you think this report will help recognize resource pressure distribution in cities? So essentially, now this gives us an idea about what is lacking where. So would there be a targeted approach to try and fill those gaps?
That's the whole idea, Ruhi, of the whole exercise, that you find out how cities are faring, and in the process you get to know of the gaps that are there in the city, like cities where which are not which do not have economic opportunities, or cities where the quality of life is poor, where the municipal services are poor. So now you know, it's not that the government didn't know, but now that the report has pointed it out once again. So it's the government the ministry should now, make a sustained effort to address these issues.
Right.
Remember, Ruhi, that, there have been a lot of urban schemes that the Modi government, after it came to power in 2014, launched, including the Smart Cities Mission, including the Amrut Mission. But even despite that, some improvement has happened, but there's lots that still needs to be done in Indian cities.
Right. Okay, now I have questions from people asking about their respective cities. Abhishek Singh wants to know about Kolkata. Sunny Singh wants to know about Noida and Greater Noida. Would you have the figures right away? Or
I don't have the figure with me right now, but they don't figure in the top 10 in any of the indices.
In any of the top 10 at least, as far as the ease of living is concerned. All right. This one is from Mukesh Panikar. Isn't it unfair to downgrade Delhi because of pollution? Delhi NCR gives more jobs only after Mumbai? Question mark. That's a question. Then there is a similar question, in fact, which I had seen. Yes, this is from Mukesh Panikar. It's his other question that he's asked. Why is economic viability not the most important factor? So I think Mukesh's point here is that because economic viability, that means you have jobs, that means you have income, that means you're comfortable, that leads to better ease of living. So shouldn't that be the most important parameter?
Ruhi, when you look at the well-being of a city, you have to have a holistic approach. It can't be just the economic ability of the city or the economic opportunities in the city, because it has to be you have to factor in the overall ease of living in the city, which will have to include quality education,
right,
quality infrastructure, hospital facilities. So it can't be just good employment opportunities and good economic opportunities in the city.
Right.
So you have to take into account the different parameters that goes towards improving the quality of life of citizens.
Right.
So that is why quality
has to be combined.
Yeah, and also Delhi, like somebody asked, as far as economic ability is concerned, Delhi is number 2 because of the economic opportunities the city has.
Right. Okay. This question is from Monju Mohanto. How long will Guwahati require to perform better, since it is considered as a gateway to the northeastern states? I'm assuming Monju lives in Guwahati. So, I think the question means that, if it's so down the bottom list and it's the gateway to the northeast, there should be a certain concerted effort to ensure that it goes up in the ranking.
In fact, Guwahati is one of the smart cities also.
Right.
And a lot of funds have been pumped into the city to
right,
upgrade urban infrastructure. But, it's very obvious from the report that not much seems to have happened. Just building a flyover or, any other infrastructure, is not enough. You have to improve the overall, livability of that city.
Right.
And Guwahati again is one of the most polluted cities in
very
the
polluted, yes,
country also. And that has a direct linkage to the number of vehicles, which has gone up over the years.
Right.
So you need to promote public transport. You need to put in much more in terms of finances, in terms of resources, in terms of infrastructure, to improve the overall livability of the city.
Okay. Dipesh Sethi is curious about why Bangalore is the best city, because the traffic situation is very bad there, and is that not included? So that's true. Bangalore is a nightmare as far as traffic is concerned.
Yeah, Bangalore is a nightmare, but Bangalore, how it has made to the top of the economic ease of living index is because of its good score in economic ability parameter. So Bangalore tops the list, in fact, followed by Delhi. So in fact, most of the cities which have fared well in economic ability, their overall ranking has gone up in the list, in the chart.
Okay. Harsh Sahai, what is the ranking of Ahmedabad? Moushumi did mention that it's in the top 5.
Yeah, it's in the top 5 in the ease of living index. So it has done quite well.
Well, okay. There is a question from Barende Iyer. What are the lacunae in Kolkata? So I think now everybody is interested, and rightly so, about the cities that they live in. So is there any insight into Kolkata and what the issues there are?
Kolkata, Ruhi, I mean, not much infrastructure development has happened. I mean, in the last, last decade or so. I mean, in fact, Kolkata was one of the cities that got the first metro in the country.
Right.
But in terms of overall infra development in the city, it has lagged behind. And I mean, that is one of the reasons that, Kolkata doesn't find mention in any of the, in any of the parameters. It's not among the top cities.
Right.
So, lot more needs to be done. I mean, there is also sparring between the state government and the central government. State government is not part of most of the central schemes. Central schemes related to urban modernization, be it Smart Cities Mission, be it Swachh Bharat Mission. The West Bengal is not part of the part of these missions. So, what happens because of this is that they also lose out on a lot of central funding.
Right.
So, because all these missions, there is a joint venture between the center and the state, where center puts 50% of the funding. So you lose out on those funds. So which, if you had been a part of it, you could have got the fund, you could have used it to upgrade the infrastructure. Right. And because of this, it has also impacted investment in the state. Not much investment has happened, many industries have come up. There are not enough employment opportunities.
Right.
So overall, all that has impacted the ranking of the city.
So interestingly, the two most important cities in two poll-bound states, West Bengal and Assam, don't seem to be doing very well as far as providing a quality of life to the citizens.
But Kolkata at least doesn't find mention in the bottom of the list, in either the municipal performance index or the ease of living index.
Okay. So before we close, there's a request from Soham Banerjee. Can you please list out the parameters for classification once again? I think Soham may have missed the initial part of the conversation.
For ease of living index, the parameters that were taken into account were quality of life, the economic ability, sustainability, and citizens' perception. Broadly 4 parameters, which again had sub-parameters like quality of living factored in, availability of water supply, quality education, hospital facilities. Similarly, for municipal performance index, basically cities were assessed in 4 areas: financing, governance, and also public transport.
Right. Okay. So if you live in Bangalore or Pune or any of the cities that have, or Shimla for that matter, any of the cities that have done well for themselves, you might get a good night's sleep today knowing that you're living in the right city. If you live in Guwahati or any of the cities which have performed poorly, which are in the bottom 10, you may find yourself being a little anxious. But I'm just being facetious here. On a serious note, a report like this, something like this helps the government target the gaps, identify gaps and have a targeted approach towards filling those gaps. So I think this is a welcome move, and hopefully in the next report, some of these cities which haven't done too well will find themselves doing a little better. Thank you for watching Government Matters and for sending in your questions. Moushumi, thank you for joining us.